So I learned to volunteer quick, and you always get in a room when you're your worker.
Hold on, I want to stop. Wait, hold on. You can't go over that. This is actually, that's a kick-ass lesson right there. Like, I actually am going, she said, I wasn't a human being, I was a human doer. Okay, everybody hear that. That's like, and it's a question to ask yourself. Are you a human being or a human doer? I don't think I've even ever heard that anywhere. No, that's
my gift.
That's $1 million right there. Am I a human being or am I a human doer? And there's a big difference in between, and acknowledging the fact that we're a human doer, meaning we find ourselves in the room, but we're in the room so that we can serve and give to everybody else. We are valued based on our labor.
Right. And you're never who you are because you're waiting for the other person to clue you in. Kind of like, you say something and then I say something in a conversation. Everyone else was the authority and was more important. And I was only there to provide the parts that you wanted to avoid conflict, because you don't want to be the conflict starter. And especially around difficult people, you have to give them extra grace. They get more time to talk. So you can figure out how to keep everything going. I'm the glue in a lot of situations, or I'm go talk to her because she's in a bad mood and we need her to do this. And I was always a tool, but I was never a part of the team. It's like, you're a team player until the team has to play for you, and then suddenly you get cut. And you learn adaptability and you learn to adjust. And so then you put yourself in it. I always say everything's good and it's okay until somebody gets hurt. And that afternoon, I was like, okay, everybody else is happy, but my integrity is more important to me than family. And you can see on my Facebook page, I'm a very family-oriented person. When your integrity is being challenged, you've got to stop, drop, and roll. Something has to change that afternoon. And that was one of the things on the feedback is it's like, well, I can't do business with you because I'm confused. You confuse the hell, because it's like, what are you or who are you? And
you know why I started laughing? Because I as you were talking, I speak in a lot of rooms. I'm on stages and I see thousands and thousands of people. And there are many moments that I take with me. And that's one of them. I remember now. I didn't, before we started this conversation, you were sitting on my right-hand side. And
yep, that was me.
I can tell you, this is years ago. This was so funny about, this is literally maybe I didn't. Okay, so this is about 2.5 years ago. Hey, I'm going to actually teach a couple of lessons inside this for everybody, because this is a great example of why you have to tell your story. Dot was in a room in a workshop. I don't do workshops very often, and I don't do them, and we don't do them anymore. But Dot was in a workshop. We were doing a tour. I was on tour that year, and we went to 12 cities, and I was very familiar with Raleigh. And someone said to her, don't ask questions, just come over to this event and sit here. Helen was a client of ours, and she worked inside of our programs, and she had her own many successes and was just awesome like that. And she brought great people. And so she brought this great woman, and I remember, Dot, you were poised and ready, and you said something. I asked you a question, and I said, what the hell does that even mean? And I remember that you had the toughest journey inside of that particular room. I remember it well, because I told you point blank that what you told me made no sense. I didn't get it. I don't know why anyone would buy from you. And then I remember also telling you that you were the only piece of the whole equation of everything you said that I don't hear you. And, exactly. And you were not excited about that. You actually, I remember you were pissed off. You were, and you didn't, now here's the thing. You didn't jump out. I want to make it clear on camera. She didn't jump out and call me a name, but it was very clear that I had taken her back. Now, I said, it's funny, I said this before we started this, that sometimes we get information or someone tells us something, and we automatically, especially women, we become defensive. And we're like, Dot did not do that. And I believe 100% this is true to her success. Whether it's good or bad, she takes the time to process what she hears. And more importantly, she's a great steward of going, is this me? Is what I just heard true? Do I really? She asks herself the questions at a minimum. And then she allows herself, she's willing to answer them. You know, I'm going to tell you the hardest part about being a woman sometimes is that especially if you've gone your whole life where you feel like you were just serving other people and giving to other people. And you're like, okay, I don't think anyone's really giving to me. Why aren't people giving to me? And then we start to doubt ourselves. And for me, that error came inside of religion, because then I had religion in my left ear going, oh no, because my complete role, my whole existence, I was born just to serve other people. That's why I live in usher land, for crying out loud. And this is why I sit and I volunteer constantly all the time. But I'm really just being,
exactly.
I'm a human. Wait, I love that. I love that. If someone has to write this down on my team, I am not a human being. I was like, I need you to say it again. I don't even want to screw it up.
I was not a human being. I was a human doer.
I was a human doer. I love that. So inside of this equation, what happens is that then because we become valuable as the tool, we need to feel valuable, but it's not the right kind of value. We become not addicted, but addicted to the feeling that we get in that moment when we hear, thank you so much, I appreciate it. Thank you for doing that for me. Thank you for facilitating that. And we need that value. We go back, we are asking ourselves, well, why do I feel like that? Why do I feel? Why don't I feel at the end of the day or on Saturday when I'm not being used as a tool and I'm just me by myself in my little home? And for me, many, many times, a sense of sadness would sit in. A sense of not belonging would set in for me. A sense of feeling womp, womp, womp. And as I think about that moment, I saw a woman who was sitting in my room full of tons of value. There's not even a number or word for that. And she was the only part not in her equation. And not only was she not in her equation, but she had built a business and a life and was delivering products and services where she was overlooked. And a great indicator for me is that when everything you do is being paid on what you can do, your labor, versus being paid on what you know. One of my goals for every woman in freedom, actually every woman in our world, in our community, is to acknowledge what they know and to not just be paid for what they can do, to really be paid for what they know. Now, here's what I love the most, Dot. I remember how you were, but also how open you were. And you didn't show it in that room. You did not come back and say, thank you so much. You actually said, I'm going to sit with this. I just need to sit with this. And I respect that 100%. Tell me, give me an idea for like, at what point did that picture shift for you?
Probably, it took me a good month. I'm a slow processor, and it's like, okay, did she really say that in front of a room of 25 people? And kind of like, going back over what I said to see, well, did I say it exactly right? Because I tend to flip things. And the more and more I went over it and just journaling and writing down, because you can lie to yourself and you can replay the tapes and make everything sound, sarcasm is a great way to make things funny that there's nothing about it being funny.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm being paid for my labor was the other thing that stood out. You know a lot, but you're not using it. And that was something you talked about that day too, is resourcefulness is the number one reason why people don't make it, is because they're not using the resources. We think one thing and we decide, oh my gosh, this can't happen. And can't is a big trigger for me. everything can happen. It's just, will you let it happen? Are you willing to make it happen? And most of the time, no, I'm not. That's why I haven't jumped a plane to California yet. No, I'm not willing. But when you have to write that down and you look at the number one reason I'm not getting what I want is because I'm not willing to do what it takes to get it. And you have that sitting in your face, and the meme that comes up, you're the only you're too smart to be the only thing standing in your way. And being committed, and then knowing a lot of the women that had been touched by your coaching and watching them do it. And it was like, the number one thing is it hurts, but once you walk through it, it's going to get better. And so it's like, okay, it can't get any worse. Honestly, there's only, minor things. And with the family, I won't experience anything worse than where I'm at now. What have I got to lose?
You have everything to gain at that moment. And to me, it's just let me tell you, success leaves clues. And sometimes we don't have all the information, but what I attribute step number one to Dot's success, to where she is today, just how she feels today, is she's willing. That's one. She decided that she's willing. Number two, that statement, it sounds crazy, but sometimes we have all of these ideas as to why we can't try or do something. And it's like, but what do you really have to lose? Like, what do you have to lose? You have nothing to lose and everything to gain. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain. Nothing to lose and everything to gain. So why not jump in? Why not jump in? Okay, so a month goes by, you do a ton of journaling, you are fast forward, you make some decisions. What decisions did you make for yourself?
To entertain the possibility of how I'm going to bridge going from just working and having to have my hands on everything and be in everyone's living room to do my work. If I'm smart enough and resourceful enough with technology, there's ways for me to be able to sit in my living room and still do my services with you. And that was a big thing. And that's something that no one else in my service industry does that I'm aware of. And so looking at that, and it's just like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be the tele-organizer. I'm going to do this. Now, how do I do it? And it's like, holy crap, I have no clue. But again, using resources, reaching out and telling somebody, hey, this is what I need to do. And they're like, first thing you have to do is video. That's your step. And it's like, okay, crap. Now, number two, that's not happening. We got, plan B, C, D, and E. And they're like, why can't video happen? And it's like, because I don't want it to. I'm not comfortable. I'm not a video person. And they're like, you get in front of a camera, you hit the button, and you do your thing, and then somebody helps you edit it to make it pretty. They go, you are a video person. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to sit in that for a little while. I have more time than money. I'm in control now. Tiffany says I can make my own decisions, so I'm going to do that. And it took me at least a month to actually entertain it. And of course, another Freedom 52 event, another live came, and you were coming. That was when Sherelle was starting the Raleigh.
Okay.
Or Helen was starting it, but Sherelle's part of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, let me go, and maybe miraculously I'll be up a level and everything's going to be cool. And I ended up coming back with a notebook full of more information, but I had steps to take. I knew what I needed to do. I still haven't done them, but that's my choice. I sat in there and I have to look at my journal, and I decided to postpone this because I need to do this. I need more money first. I need this. And it's like, okay, how did that work out for you? Dr. Phil, it's like, okay, well, you did what you wanted to do, and where are you now? And you're 7 miles, west of where you wanted to be. Now come back, and what's the first thing you have to do? The very first thing is get in front of a camera, practice, and get my information to make my video. So it's like, you can postpone things, but you're always going to end up coming back. If that's your next step for your goal,
That's
You
the
can
next
go
step.
around,
That's
but you're
exactly
always going
right.
to have to do that
I
in order
love
to get.
that.
And
I mean,
so
did everyone
I
catch what
figured,
she
let's
just
cut
said?
the chase.
Wait, I gotta stop you, Dot. Listen, Dot's just schooling everyone. If you're not taking notes, like I'm sad for you. She's schooling everyone, and I'm actually just like this. I'm in awe. I'm watching you, and I'm thinking back to that woman a few years ago, and I'm like, shh, flip. She's come such a long way, but she is schooling people right now. I want everyone to hear that that is actually 1,000% true. When someone gives you the steps to get to X, or when it's decided that these are the steps you need to take to get to that goal, you can go around them. You could try to do other steps. You can manufacture other things. You can waste time. But at the end of the day, what Dot just said is that you still have to go back to that first step. The actual step is not going to change. The step is not going to be manipulated for you. It's not going to be reduced. There's no reduction coming. It doesn't become easier. The step is what it is. And I love, I'm jumping at my chair right now. I'm like, I do. Because I love the fact that you just said that, because that is the God's honest truth. And that's the part of this whole thing that we try, that it's like, it's almost like we try to circumvent. And I have people who walk in through my door still, they'll hear what I say is, hey, you want to do X? Here's the 9 steps we've got to accomplish. And then all of a sudden they're doing steps that are not even here. And I go, well, that's your choice. I'm going to sit and wait. Because sometimes the process is what it is. And if you trust the source it came from, you have to trust the process. And then the other part of trusting the process is making a decision to just trust yourself. Because
that was the biggest thing, because I didn't.
And
then whatever you're doing to yourself, I'm still new to all this energy woo-woo stuff, but always feeling like people are second guessing you and judging you, and that you're always on is she up, is she legit, or is she just, a mouthpiece for other people?
Right.
And I have my own thoughts. I have a lot to offer, but I'm very cautious on how I present myself, because it's always, I'm just one step up from complete failure, and I can't risk. And then, the thing one of y'all had said, and I think it was Amy, but you can't risk not doing it. You don't have what you need, and you're not going to get it if you don't let go of the bar you're on to move to the next one. It's kind of like the monkey bar scenario. And it took me a while, and I'm very slow. I'm very, and I'm always making sure everything feels right, because at the end of the day, I'm all I have. And I've just learned to trust my intuition. And it's like, you get the information, but it's always easier to ask around. Do you think I should listen to Tiffany? And it's like, hell yeah, you better listen to Tiffany. You're in the portal, right? You listen to her every Monday. Are you following the steps? And it's like, oh, this isn't working. And it's like, oh, that's video number 3. Go back to the portal. And it's like, holy crap. Okay. I can't get it right. Everything is there, and it's just been like a net. And once I found, and I got comfortable bouncing, and it's like, this really freaking sucks. And it's like, yeah, but it's not going to suck forever. And the good thing is, we've all been there. We've all been on the net. We all know what it's like. Come over, and the 3rd string from the right is going to be nice and tight, and you're going to flip right out, and you climb up the ladder and do it again.
Right.
And the second time you bounce, it doesn't feel as bad as the first time, because it's just a thing. And then you get back up and you climb up the 3rd time, and holy crap, I made it across. I still bounced, but it's like, oh, but look, I came across. And so now I know. And it's just a process. It really is. And it's funny, because that's what I teach my clients. And they are my family. They are my support. Because I came to them, I was like, okay, you're going to be seeing some crazy stuff on Facebook. I want you to feel comfortable. And they were like, hell yeah, why didn't you do this before? This is great. They go, can I have Tiffany's number so we can tell on you? And so it was really funny, and they'll catch me falling backwards, and they'll be like, you're supposed to be the expert. Why do you care if I'm happy? you're going to make me uncomfortable, and then we're going to have success like Tiffany does to you. And so it's like, okay. Has she gotten into my phone book and called these people and told them,
Serious.
watch this girl, because she's gonna take the comfort zone. She's going to be worried about everybody else. And when it gets tough and you're doing for yourself, you're going to piss off at least one person. And that's when you know, hey, I've got to go farther, because this is something real. And then you see everything changes behind you. It's like a ripple effect. And your support changes. People treat you differently. Now, I know what I'm doing.
You know what? I literally just like, I'm like, you just don't understand. I thought I was drooling before. I just listening to you. I don't even want to say anything. I literally we just need to let Dot teach. Having watched, I listened to so many. I know how hard it was for you to get from just where you were to where you are right now. Trusting yourself, diving into you, honoring, loving you, focusing on you, and then more importantly, understanding that the more you do that, the more that you make yourself stronger, but it's more that you make your dreams a reality, that you actually have the opportunity to shoot for your dreams. You actually get to make them happen in business and in life.
And there's a big difference. Talk about the dreams versus goals, because I didn't dream because it hadn't worked really great in the past. And it's like, I've got shit to do. I've got to figure this out. I have to make certain marks. And it's like, you're not going to make those marks if you're not dreaming. If you're not sleeping, you can't dream. So it's just a vicious circle. If you're not taking care of yourself, you're not going to go to sleep. You're not going to dream. You're not going to be able to do what you're supposed to do. I mean, you can't even get up and make coffee in the morning if you're not a healthy person.
That's exactly
and so
right.
Self-care was, if you had to pull one thing, what did you change and that helped you is, first of all, I realized there was a dot in my circles. And instead of focusing on, and I don't do the world because, we don't travel. So, you see it on TV, but they still call Africa a country. And, all the international people laugh at us, U.S. people, because it's like, it's a continent. There's lots of countries inside of that.
Absolutely.
But when you've never traveled, you don't know these things. Mm-hmm. But I focused on my nation and my states and my community.
I love that.
But the dot circle was even divided. And
so she's talking right now. I want everyone to know she's talking about her global impact. So she's talking about her global impact. And that's what you're talking about, right, Dot?
Yeah.
Okay, so the global impact is the very first step of when everyone comes into our community, and it is a thing that we fill out. I fill out one also. It is in my office, and I do it every year with everyone. And the global impact is a very first step. And I love how I love how you're teaching inside of, well, okay, great. But where is this circle, and is it full? Because that's the center of this whole thing. And as we know, if the thing is not full, then the whole thing implodes and the whole thing crumbles, and it crumbles to the ground, which is why you've taken the time now to go here. But you will travel one day. I know you keep saying you're not going to travel.
Absolutely.
You realize that we will come and knock on your door at some point. It's going to be awkward. And then you guys are going to look through the people and you're going to be like, so there are 9 random women standing outside. Someone in your family's going to be like, and Dot, I think they're for you. They're all wearing a do the damn thing shirt. One of them has a do-rag on. And then you're going to be like, and I think the one in the back is smoking a cigar. I'm not sure. I'm just not sure. I don't know what the hell is happening. But
yes, bring a cigar and the Cuban rum for me.
Exactly. Like this is a gang or something, but they're here and they're chanting Dot. So I think they're here for you. I have to put that piece inside so that it's coming, because at some point it
is on the vision board
as the world needs to hear your story. But you know what? I'm excited and grateful for what you've accomplished so far. So talk to me about your shift into Freedom 52, because what's real for me, what's exciting for me personally is that you remember when I rolled out Freedom 52 first, and I beta all types of programs. It's not fair. I beta the same program different ways when I believe that it is the solution to a problem. And I had continued to see a problem as I got in and out of stages and floated across the country. And there were two problems that I wanted to solve. And originally, I rolled out Freedom 52 as a beta, and we baited it for 7 months. And in the 7 months, I knew that I was missing a key piece. And I couldn't figure out what it was. I wanted to make sure that we had the exact steps, all 52 of them, that I use in building 6 figures and 7 figures, but more importantly, building myself, because money is one thing, but what happens here is everything. And then I wanted to make sure that there was a safe place for everybody to connect. But what happened is I had this aha, and it was probably in the middle of 2018. Every time that I walked into a room, our audience is still 30% easily male. And it was the woman over here that was the underdog in the conversation. Like, I would give them both 2 tasks, and the woman would come back with, well, Tiffany, this is how I felt, and I didn't know if I could do it, and I wasn't quite ready and sure, and I started to have my heart bend for the woman. And then at the same time, Anna, our community manager, which then she was just a client. I say just a client. No, she was a client who ran a huge business. She had we learned that she had breast cancer. And inside of that, it created a lot of emotion, a lot of feelings for me, because I made a commitment for 30 days. Once I asked her to tell her story, because she didn't want to. She did not want to tell her story. She did not want to talk about being in the health and wellness space and then having breast cancer. She just wanted to hide from the world. And I told her, I don't know everything, but I do know that the truth sets us free. And I knew these principles, and I knew that story is everything that we have. And if we can't share our stories, then who are we? She trusted me enough to make that leap. And I'll never, it is probably one of the most pivotal things that I've ever said to a client or a family or friend, because I understood how scared she was, but it was also the lesson for me, because of me sharing that story and me telling her to do that. I made a decision to do this 30 days of a show just for women, where we talked about women issues from love, life, sex, money, friendship, family, vulnerability, weakness, and all things in between. And through that experience, I understood the problem that I needed to solve for women in Freedom 52. I pulled Freedom 52 back, and it was, number one, I needed to make it just for women, period. And we had never done anything like that. I had never, and it's not because I cast a wide net, but because my audience and what I'm teaching, at least the second half of what I'm teaching, it's the male that shows up. And I said, but I have to trust myself, and I need to create a place in our world that is just for women. Men are not, I can't say men are not allowed legally, but it is the product for women. I have to say that. I think that there's some type of legal, I hope I've covered myself. So it is just for women. And why? Because women have these issues that go hand in hand with each other. Then it's not just money and business. It's our life, it's our vulnerability, it's our life as caregivers. It's some of the things we go through health-wise that men physically cannot go through and don't go through. It's just all things in between. And I'm going to tell you, I've never been so excited. Just what you guys do in that group is crazy. You're there for you guys are just so damn cool. It's so neat for me to look at it now. And as having put it back out into the world, it is a crazy success. I look at all the other community rates and whatever, and I'm like, we're at the top of these charts of all of what they say are standard. And I go, oh my goodness. But I'm excited about it because I know what happens when women who dream, who have the same heart that I have, who want to serve, who have served other people for too long, but they want to serve themselves, and they want to stop thinking small, and they lead with love. I know what happens when they get into a room. Dot, my question to you is, tell me about, if you can, not really tell me about, but more, what is your, why Freedom 52? Why a community of women?
What you just said, when we went through this thing with Anna, to watch, and I'm going to use the technical jargon, to watch a coach, even though y'all were friends and you had your personal, we didn't have the insight then to know how close you and Anna were. Anna was a very successful, independent woman, but your opinions and your training, whatever you said to her, inspired her to move like you asked. For her to have to, being an empath, when she had to say, hey, I've done all the right things and it still happened. That was just big. That was really big. And it took a lot, that alone kind of made everything feel completely different. It wasn't just the being nice to each other and telling each other, you got to do this, but to understand how much she didn't want to do it and all that she was risking to do that, and then to do it for 30 days. And then our discussions weren't just about Anna. I mean, we started off and she would say, this is what I'm doing with my health thing, and kind of gave us a tidbit of, she had to still exercise. It's like, damn it, you've got cancer. You should be able to, smoke as many cigars as you want, drink the alcohol. And instead she was like, I've actually cut back on the drinking because I want my body to be able to focus. And she I'm taking this vitamin. She was helping us in that group.
She did.
And then we still had to talk business. It's like, wait a minute, just put the pause on. Let's all get in a room, have a sleepover. And it's like, no, the world doesn't stop. Everybody else is going on whatever. But we really had to focus, and it was the whole thing. How are you today as Dot? Forget everybody else. How are you as the wife, the mother, the whatever, family relationship? How's the business? We focus on everything. It's not, because we can't separate it.
We cannot separate it. That's just it. You can't separate it. It's all one piece, and each piece has to be winning in order for the whole to win.
And I'm big about continuity and consistency, because those, for chronically ill people, that is medicine. I mean, I have to stay consistent, because then it becomes muscle memory. When I have my bad days, like this week has been hell, but I have my routine and I can teach my son. It's like, okay, mom's supposed to be doing this. And he's actually the mother this week, keeping me on point and making sure, did you eat? You're acting loopy and you can't have a Snicker bar. So what am I supposed to give you? Because I didn't go shopping. And it's like, they learn by watching me suffer for not doing things. And we do that for each other in the group. It's like, have you been into the portal? Have you talked to Anna? If you're struggling with something, and you don't want to put it out into the group, we know to reach out private message. And it's powerful. I mean, and we're there for each other. And then when you take it up to Freedom 52, where we've committed and we're paying, you have that little extra nudge, because it's like, I don't want to hear about money, because you paid for this and you're choosing not to use it. How smart is that? And it goes back to, if you're smart enough to make everything you want happen, and yet you're choosing to throw it away. I mean, I work hard for my money. I love what I do, but I work very hard for it. And so that really put things in perspective. And it's like, okay, I have to get into the portal. I have to make these changes. I have to figure it out. I have 70 things going on, and maybe 60 of them can stay, but I've got to cut 10. And I have a poster I just did my art class or art thing. The first cut's the hardest. The first cut hurts. But once you've done it, it's like, okay, I see there's benefit, and I'm going to move through. And you see that through the Freedom 52, all of us sharing. We're all different. We all have different challenges, but it comes down to the same thing. We all feel for each other. And it's like, I know what it felt like, but you're going to be better for it. And I have been.
Let me ask you, what are you most excited about over the last, here's my real question, actually. What is your greatest accomplishment for yourself over the last 90 days? What are you proud of? What are you most proud of?
The change in my health. I mean, the self-care was really, my revenue is kind of, it's changing with everything else. But seeing the difference in the mindset. And I have options now. I went from the poverty mindset of I can't do this because I can't take these steps. Everything doesn't cost money. And there's a lot of power. I've always been a big barterer, but because of other people's opinions, I stopped doing the things that were working for me. And so it went back to, okay, you knew best, you were doing good, and then somebody said something, and now you're crippled. How smart was that? So ownership. The hardest part was telling my story, but I did it.
So in your health, you have told you, and you're continuing to tell your story. You're continuing to tell your story because your story is still evolving. But through this point, here's what's great. Through you telling your story, and even starting to tell your story, there are people who are now going, huh? There are people who are tapping into you and what you're doing and what you want to do. And they're thinking and evaluating their lives and the things that they want to do and the things that they've considered just because they're watching you. I love the fact that you said your health. Your health is something that it's almost like a taboo inside of women, because it's like if we're not on the floor rolling around, or if we're not in a hospital bed, then we're fine. And we're supposed to just keep trucking along, and we keep doing and doing for other people. And you're right, Anna changed the game for everybody. She impacted thousands and thousands of people through her own work, but through telling this story and going 30 days cancer, 30 days chemo, then radiation, surgery. I mean, she had it all. And she decided to show up for those 30 days. And, that is a level, it's trust that allows that. And sometimes, let me just say this, sometimes you don't have to trust yourself. There are moments where you're like, I can't trust I can't trust me, but I can trust this person. And it's like, when I say trust that person, at that moment, she wasn't clear exactly what she needed to do. Emotionally and mentally, she was all over the place, and rightfully so. But she trusts me. And so when she came to me and said, what do I do? And I told her, this is what you have to do. It would have been dumb for her to do something else. She knows the formula because she understands. She knows what works, right? Does that make sense? And in moments where she says, I cannot trust myself at this moment, I need to go to someone, I need to go to where I do trust. Great, this is what I need to do. And she did that. She did that and nothing else. And she transformed a lot of lives, but she transformed my life, hands down. I've never had such a focus on not just caring for women, but teaching women. Right now, we have so many initiatives literally inside of a basket around women who are homeless, the 20 million women in the country who are below the poverty line, children who are in the foster care system. And we're aggressively we're actually shifting our entire company and brand because Anna made that decision so that we can go and help more people. Period. And why? Because we can. That's it. I have to tell you, you may not realize how many people you've encouraged and motivated and inspired, but you have. And I want to publicly let you know, I just go, oh my gosh, because it is so doggone cool to see and watch your consistency for yourself, to watch you step up, me to watch how resourceful you have been, and more importantly, to watch that translate into the conversations, connections, and the pockets within the community that you've developed. And it's a pretty cool thing for me to be able to say, man, I had to take a breath because I thought I was going to cry. Everything changes when you make a decision to share your own story, just to share your story. And it's the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's number 2 is owning your own value is not optional. It's a must. It's a must, and you have to own your own value. Husband, child, family, employers, and all of the above. And third, I'm going to say, I am really, really excited to see what you're going to do in the next 6 months. My question to you would be, what things, and this is a rhetorical question, so you can't answer it now, but I'm going to do this totally live while we're here. Imagine
Okay.
what more you could accomplish if you made a decision to face one of your biggest fears and get on a plane. Do the Damn Thing World Tour. The only United States date, at least at this moment, is February 6, 2020. And all of the family's going to be there. And, you know, as I think about all of the things that I've been afraid of in my lifetime, and whether they made sense to other people or not, I was just afraid because it's me, and leave me the hell alone. It didn't change the fact that all the things I wanted, all the things that I was craving for, were literally on the other side of my fear. So in that, as I look at you, you've already accomplished so much in such a short period of time without getting on a plane or without traveling like that. But I'm just saying, imagine what could happen if you took the next level. I'm pretty sure that every single woman in Freedom 52 has already committed to being there in February. And trust me when I say they want to see you. If you're looking at this thread somewhere, can you please tag Dot between today and tomorrow and tell her that you need to see her in Los Angeles, because you need to hug her in person, because a virtual high five can only go so far. There is nothing like a physical booty bump. There's nothing like it. Please, can you say, Dot, I need to see you, because that's what I'm asking. And I'm going to take this to Freedom 52 so that all of them, they're not going to bully you. They're just going to gently encourage you with very...
They already have been. We've already had this conversation.
Good, fantastic, awesome. I can't wait. I'm going to put it on my radar myself. I'm going to ask my team to keep track of this. And more importantly, because you've got to get there. No way, shape, form, figure. It is absolutely your time to do the damn thing. Mm-hmm. So to all of those who have watched this live, I say, woohoo, thank you so much. This has been amazing. Dot has schooled us, and she has schooled us, but no, and I know how long it's of a road she's walked just to be able to teach what she's taught. Period. I could not be more excited and honored that I get to be here and spend my morning with you. To all of you who are watching, dun, 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 it is absolutely time for you to go and do the damn thing in your own life. And more importantly, if you're not inside of Freedom 52, or you haven't come to a live event, or you haven't, do not leave this moment and don't do anything. That's all I ask. Don't do anything. You have to take the next step, because I promise you, you'll be like, oh my goodness, how did I live without this thing? Mm-hmm. I promise.
Exactly.
So
you're worth it.
If you had one message if you had one message for the woman who is unsure, or who is just on the other side from where you are today, and she needs to walk the path, what is your one message to her?
You have nothing to lose but try it. I mean, it's worth every moment you put into it.
Mm-hmm. I'll take it. I'll super take it. You have nothing to lose. You have nothing. There's nothing standing in your way. You just have to try it. Mm-hmm. I'll take it. Dot, thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Salute.
Salute. Yes, we'll see you tomorrow night on Tequila with Tiffany.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.